Welcome to the Menopause Queen. Thank you so much for being here. This is the podcast, and we are episode 17. I have a juicy podcast for you today with quite a lot in it and quite a lot to unpack. And as a starter for 10, I wanted to just focus on what the inspirations behind this particular podcast, this particular episode have been. One is the pink full moon at the time of recording this. So we are at the very start of April, and this moon is in Libra. I am a Libran. I spend my life seeking balance and harmony because that is in my DNA. That's who I am. And this pink full moon is asking us to do just that. It is asking us to find balance and harmony, particularly because of the other influences going on in any and all relationships. That doesn't just mean your partner. That can mean any relationships. Are you giving too much? Are you having too much taken from you? Is there imbalance in any part of you? And that's influenced some of what I'm about to say in this podcast. And it's actually influencing me for this part of the year, for spring, and for the rest of the year, in fact. It's made me stop and think. And now I'm coming to some of the other influences. Focusing a little bit on the menopause itself and the perimenopause, I'm being contacted by more and more women saying that I just don't feel that I'm living the life I'm supposed to live. I feel imbalanced. I feel like it's not quite in sync with what I want to be doing. And yet I feel like I'm in a constant transition of several activities, several interests, and I can't quite find the right line of thought. And each day seems to be filled with new anxiety and new stress. And I'm going to take on board some words from Lucas Jones, who is a UK poet, to discuss things and to dissect some stuff there. And the third influence, in fact, there are two more influences. I've been influenced recently by loss, by people going way too early in their life. My best friend, Sarah, is a death doula. So she actually accompanies people at end of life. She's based in Canada, where end of life is actually more of a choice. But up until recently, she's really just been dealing with people who are diagnosed with incurable diseases or who are quite naturally at the end of their life. Very often she deals with the people who are left behind and not necessarily the person who is dying. And just recently, she's had to say goodbye to her best friend. Well, I probably am her best friend, but her second best friend, like you used to say in primary school. And Gail. And Gail is exactly the same age as us, 54, way too young, leaves behind a whole family, 2 children, etc., and died of cancer. And she wanted us to focus on the glimmers, on the little things. And I lost another of my friends just before recording this, Susanna Harwood Rubin, who died as well of cancer and way too young, 58. Reminds me of my friend Lisa, who I lost very many years ago, who died similar age to me, in fact younger. And just loss. And how can we honour their legacy and their life? And how can we truly appreciate what we have now? One of the poems that Lucas Jones actually has written, is all about I met God in the supermarket and I met God on the train. And to cut a very long poem and beautiful poem short, and I won't paraphrase because I'll get it wrong, but essentially he's moaning about the fact that he just doesn't get it. Is this it? Is this all it is? Is this the extent of his life? And God is saying, well, what do you mean? Did you not notice the beauty that we put all around you? Did we not paint the trees the right colour? Was the sky not blue enough? Did you not notice the sunsets and the sunrises? The little things, the little glimmers. That has truly influenced my energy at the moment and my shift, I think, in approach to certain things at the moment. I hope it does yours. And the final influence of this podcast is quite simply another Instagram lovely lady who I don't know. Her Instagram is Mama's Still Got It. I actually don't know her first name. She has one, of course. But Mama's Still Got It. And the other day, quite often she does very silly, very funny videos. But the other day, she did a video that was her being heartfelt and teary and honest in the car because she just dropped her child off at the airport to go on a school trip, but on a plane. They needed a visa for that. And she was really teary for a start at the fact that she'd left her son at the airport for the first time, going on holiday on his own. We've all been there, right? We have all been there. No one gives you lessons on when your kids leave home. Heart-wrenching, heart-wrenching. And this is how I'm going to start, I think, my podcasty musings. She sat in the car and she said, and I nearly messed up his visa, so he nearly couldn't go anywhere. There's another mum failure for you. Now, this is the point I'm going to pick up on, and I will continue on the vein of this idea of being a failure, not a failure. How many times have you sat yourself down in the car or just anywhere at the end of the day, or at any point when you think that your child is... or you have not been enough for your child or for yourself and thought you've been a failure? Have you really? Because I'm here to tell you that no, you haven't. But so many times I have felt that, so many times. Oh my God, I'm English. I've lived in France for 26 years now. So that's over half of my life I've lived in this country. And is that right, calculations-wise? Just under half of my life, roughly. And honestly, when I took my children to school, to primary school, wherever it might be, crèche, maternelle, primary school, etc., all their schoolings, basically, I got it so wrong every time. I never had the right documents. I never knew what was going on. It's like somebody had passed to all the other mums this kind of secret note that said, you've got to bring this, you've got to do this, you remember to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, don't understand, nowhere near the mix here. And every time I think, bloody hell, I'm just failing. I'm just constantly failing. When I eventually decided to leave our family home, I'd been separated for over 2.5 years, still living with my ex-husband, and made the decision that I had to leave because nothing was going to change otherwise. And I had to make a step into a very difficult unknown, financially, physically, emotionally, everything. And I remember the first evening where it really dawned on me that I wouldn't have my children with me. And I left secure, comfortable, but for me, sad, lonely home. Not with my children, but with my partner. There's nothing against him. It's just that we didn't communicate. We didn't have fun. It wasn't a light household. And so I left. I made this new home. But oh my God, the gut-wrenching pain when you realize you're not with your children when they're at home and little. That was horrendous. And then the first weekend, a couple of days later, that my girls were coming to stay with me in this new home, and I had zero cash to be doing what I was doing. I had no money to decorate the house, to do anything. I could not bring myself to separate out their toys and take some with me. So I left them all. I just took a bare essentials of clothing and things like that. And I made it look as best as I could. I bought a few, I had so little money at the time. It was unbelievable. I bought a few food things that I knew they liked. My eldest daughter at the time was 10. She is now 22. And she was 10 years old. And I remember standing on the Friday evening in the kitchen, and I'd gone around enthusiastically trying not to feel like a flicking failure that I really did inside of me. And my daughter stood me in the kitchen, and I'll probably cry now because it really affected me in a very beautiful way. And she turned around and said, Mum, you don't have to try to be the best mum in the world. You are already. You see, tears. That's when you realise, A, You've not been a failure. Do you know why? Because your daughter is an incredible young woman, just bursting to get out of that little body with so much wisdom. I remember a few years later, my youngest daughter, who at the time was probably 10, 11, possibly 12. She's now 17 and winning cooking competitions and chefing like incredibleness. At the time we were in the kitchen and she said to me, "Mum, you know, when you cry, it's not that you're weak. It's just that you've been strong for too long." Failure is not failure. We're just trying the best we can. And you know what? As long as you try, as long as you love your children, you're never a failure. Don't compare notes. Don't look at anyone who seems to be perfect, because believe me, nobody is. Behind closed doors, nobody is. So this brings me to the menopause, when you feel like you are a failure. How many times does that ring true with all my menopause queens out there? And this is where I'm going to bring in Lucas Jones, and I'm going to bring in something that he brought up and has actually brought up a few times in conversation and interview. But he brought up this quote, which is from one of his therapists, and he put it into a poem. He said, "Thoughts are thoughts and walls are walls. Don't get them mixed up, because walls are just physical objects, barriers, something in front of you that you can go around or open a door and move through. But they're physical, they're there. Thoughts are thoughts, and they're yours. They're yours to manipulate, they're yours to use, they're yours to change. They belong to you." And another great poet, Donna Ashworth, said recently in an interview, now I knew all about this, I always get the first word wrong, so I'm just going to read it. Reticular activating system, RAS, it's in our brain. And it's like a computer. It's like a computer that analyzes data. It's like an AI instrument that we have in our head. And it analyzes data and thoughts. And from that, and this is what they're very interested in terms of depression with this RAS system, reticular activating system. Because what it then does is it produces a kind of energetic, emotional reaction. And the best thing is, every morning when you wake up, it's wiped clean and you can start afresh. And this is brilliant news. This is incredible information. Do you know why? Because that means every single day, the thoughts that are your thoughts. And those thoughts get processed in the RAS and create the energy that you wish to live that day. I think they've analysed it, and the first 12 thoughts that you have in every first moment of the day is the energy that you will be cultivating, emanating, exuding for the rest of the day. How many times do you wake up in the menopause, or any other time of your life actually, and think negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thoughts? So my challenge to you is those thoughts are your thoughts. They're not walls. They can be used and manipulated and changed. And that RAS system that's there doesn't need comparisons. It doesn't need anyone else's influence. It certainly doesn't need anyone to tell you that you're a failure, because you are not a failure. What it needs is positive nourishment, positive thought. That, my lovely queens, is what I'm going to leave you with at the end of this podcast today, because it feels like it's positive, it feels like it's the right thing to leave you with, so that you can nourish that RAS system, that you can really positively, juicily nourish everything that you wish to live, manifest, and emanate from. So, final thing, to come back to one of my influences from the beginning, two of them, the pink full moon and the loss of people too soon, and how do we honour them. So the pink full moon, remember, it's all about balance. It's all about that Libran energy. It's all about finding where are the too much and where is the not enough. My riding instructor always says you cannot feel balance until you feel imbalance. So if something feels right and aligned, leave it. Leave it alone. Don't overanalyze it. And if something feels imbalanced, how do you find the balance again? What do you need to do to get that balance? And the glimmers. Gail, and I'm sure Susanna, if she had written it down for everybody, maybe she has, to her dearest family and closest friends, I'm sure that she would agree. Appreciate the glimmers. Lucas Jones's poem, the blue skies, the green trees, the spring energy, the flowers that are poking their head through the earth. That's what I'm going to leave you with. Create those positive thoughts in the morning, and that will have a ripple effect through the rest of your day. If you liked this video, if you like this podcast, please like it, please subscribe, and please share with anyone that you think will benefit from this recording. Huge hugs, huge thanks, and I will see you in a new video soon.